Today is February 25th. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Today at the Big Book, we're continuing our journey through Chapter 4, We Agnostics. We'll be reading part of page 45 today. At the 12 and 12, we're on Step 6. We'll read page 67, or as the kids say, 6-7. I'm sorry. And of course, we'll read the 24 hours a day and daily reflection. So with that, hope y'all are doing well this morning, my friends. Life is good over here. Got to sleep in a little bit. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning, so I'm feeling like a rebel this morning. But I've got a cup of coffee in hand, and I just thank my higher power on my knees for just another day sober. What a blessing it is to be alive and to carry the message. So with that, let's get to the good stuff. All right, my friends. So if you recall from yesterday's reading, and actually the last couple of days, more about alcoholism. They give 4 demonstrations and then come up with the final point that for real alcoholics, it takes a spiritual experience to solve our problem. And as we talked about yesterday, that's going to trigger some thoughts for some people. And I don't think that's any coincidence of why the next chapter is We Agnostics. And one of the last lines we read yesterday in We Agnostics was, lack of power, that was our dilemma. We had to find a power by which we could live, and had to be a power greater than ourselves. So we are going to read the next paragraph on page 45. Well, that's exactly what this book is about. Its main object is to enable you to find a power greater than yourself, which will solve your problem. That means that we have written a book which we believe to be as spiritual as well as moral. And it means, of course, that we are going to talk about God. Here, difficulty arises with agnostics. Many times we talk to a new man and watch his hope rise as we discuss his alcoholic problems and explain our fellowship. But his face falls when we speak of spiritual matters, especially when we mention God. For we have reopened a subject which our man thought that he had neatly evaded or entirely ignored. We know how he feels. Out of the 12 and 12, we're on Step 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. And in the last day or two, we've been talking about how our instincts and our desires, sometimes the subtle ones, right? We often enjoy them. And then when they get to the extreme, it can cause absolutely catastrophic things to happen. And we've been talking about certain examples, some demonstrations here. But you gotta watch out for the subtle things, right? At least I do. So we're on page 67. Self-righteous anger can also be very enjoyable. In a perverse way, we can actually take satisfaction from the fact that many people annoy us, for it brings a comfortable feeling of superiority. Gossip, barbed with our anger, a polite form of murder by character assassination, has its satisfactions for us too. Here, we are not trying to help those we criticize. We are trying to proclaim our own righteousness. When gluttony is less than ruinous, we have a milder word for that too. We call it taking our comfort. We live in a world riddled with envy. To a greater or less degree, everybody's infected with it. From this defect, we must surely get a warped yet definite satisfaction. Else, why would we consume such great amounts of time wishing for what we have not, rather than working for it, or angrily looking for attributes that we shall never have, instead of adjusting to the fact and accepting it? And how often we work hard with no better motive than to be secure and slothful later on, only we call that retiring. Consider too our talents for procrastination, which is really sloth in 5 syllables. Nearly anyone could submit a good list of such defects as these, and a few of us would seriously think of giving them up, at least until they cause us excessive misery. Some people, of course, may conclude that they are indeed ready to have all such defects taken from them. But even these people, if they construct a list of still milder defects, will be obliged to admit that they prefer to hang on to some of them. Therefore, it seems plain that few of us can quickly or easily become ready to aim at spiritual and moral perfection. We want to settle for only as much perfection as will get us by in life, according, of course, to our various and sundry ideas of what will get us by. So the difference between the boys and the men is the difference between striving for a self-determined objective and for the perfect objective, which is of God. "24 hours a day, February 25th. AA thought for the day. Some people find it hard to believe in a power greater than themselves, but not to believe in such a power forces us to atheism. It has been said that atheism is blind faith in the strange proposition that this universe originated in a cipher and aimlessly rushes nowhere. That's practically impossible to believe. I think we all can agree that alcohol is a power greater than ourselves. It certainly wasn't my case. I was helpless before the power of alcohol. Do I remember the things that happened to me because of the power of alcohol? Meditation for the day. The spiritual and moral will eventually overcome the material and unmoral. That is the purpose and destiny of the human race. Gradually, the spiritual is overcoming the material in our minds. Gradually, the moral is overcoming the unmoral. Faith, fellowship, and service are cures for most of the ills of the world. There is nothing in the field of personal relationships that they cannot do. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may do my share in making a better world. I pray that I may be a part of the cure for the ills of the world. Daily Reflection, February 25th. The Challenge of Failure. In God's economy, nothing is wasted. Through failure, we learn a lesson in humility, which is probably needed, painful though it is. As Bill sees it, page 31. How thankful I am today to know that all my past failures were necessary for me to be where I am now. Through much pain came experience, and in suffering, I became obedient. When I sought God as I understand Him, He shared His treasured gifts. Through experience and obedience, growth started, followed by gratitude. Yes, then came the peace of mind, living in and sharing sobriety. All right, my friends, that concludes today's reading and some short stuff, but some great stuff. Real quick, talking about pain. My sponsor used to say 2 words to me. It was his motto too. Always remember. And I feel like I need to get that tattooed somewhere, so I'll remember that. But always remember the pain. But as the promises say, not necessarily to regret it. And that one was a challenge for me, because I do regret hurting people. But that pain that I felt back then, and I still can re-feel sometimes, is enough motivation for me to realize I don't want to mess with alcohol ever again. I don't want to be that guy I used to be. I don't want to pick up those root causes to the problems of why I drank in the first place. I don't want to do that anymore. So that pain ended up being the best thing to ever happen to me, because I am where I am now because of it. For anybody listening that might have served jail time or lost their families or whatever due to alcoholism or addiction, you know the pain I'm talking about. That pain, that very thing that was the dark corner of our past, right? Can be the very thing that leads us home, to sobriety, to peace and happiness and joy, and to change It's a beautiful thing. And real quick, I heard this from somebody who had 25 years, who has 25 years of sobriety. And he said, I still have to watch. I still catch myself being selfish and self-centered sometimes. But the one nice thing is that I've learned over time, I can begin the day over at any point in the day. And then he even gave a little illustration. He's like, think about a baby, right? Baby's crying for their bottle. And, I guess I'm like a baby a little bit. A baby's crying for their bottle and everything like that, just screaming their head off. Give them that bottle. 2 or 3 seconds later, baby's giggling and cooing and smiling. Only our bottle's not alcohol. Our bottle is sobriety. Or the 12 steps, or, an example of carrying out the 12, whatever it might be, right? For me, it's gratitude sometimes. But the nice thing is, before drinking, here was me in a nutshell. Somebody says something rude to me or something like that. I agree inside about what they're saying. And I replay it with my replay and resent machine over and over again. And I let it ruin my day, maybe even my night, and the next day, and possibly the week. But the steps have taught me, you know what? I can't change the way you think about me. And that's okay. I'm still going to choose to be kind to you. I'm going to pray, and I'm going to move on. I can't change that, but here's what I can change. I can change my response, my attitude, and let's keep moving forward. And that little pivot right there, that's a beautiful thing. Because what I would do before, when I would let that one negative thing ruin my entire day, I was completely negating and ignoring all the positive things that happened throughout the day. So through the steps over time, people told me, hey, Rob, look for the roses of the day. Look for the good. If you choose to look for the good, you'll find it. And that's kind of what I try to pass off to my kids as well, that, hey, look for the good. There's a lot of good that happens throughout the day. And my son, it's awesome. I can tell he's going to be a good man because he's a good kid and he's got a good heart, but he journals. And ever since I taught him that, like, hey, buddy, look for the good, he'll write down some good things that happen throughout the day. Not just the one thing that might have got him in trouble or whatever, So it's really cool to see the program in action and some of it rubbing off on the people around me. But anyway, I'm rambling. What a blessing it is just to be here this morning. I hope you know that if you're sober today, you're a miracle. And those who love you are very proud of you, and you're giving a great gift to everyone around you. And you have that superpower to help the next suffering alcoholic, because they are dying by the thousands of alcoholism and addiction. The world needs help, and we have that gift to help somebody else. That pain, right? Those previous failures, which, we can celebrate failures now because we're being challenged to change and improve our character and integrity. It's a character building situation. I don't call them failures anymore. I don't call them bad days anymore. I call them character building days. But anyway, if you're not sober today, I hope you know that you're worthy of recovery, that you do have worth and value. And today could be the very beginning of your first step toward change, and you don't have to do it alone. The very first word in the steps is we. This is a we program. So I pray that you'll get the help that you need today. And as always, I don't speak on behalf of AA, NA, Al-Anon, any other sect, denomination, or organization. I am not a professional narrator, obviously. I am just a dude, a grateful, sober, recovering alcoholic. Honored to be here today for this set of 24 hours. But with that, my friends, if we are given another set of 24 hours, I sincerely look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow.